joining us today from SEC Unfiltered. Honestly, man, we love Chris and everybody over there, but this is a man who is not afraid to give a scorching hot take or two. You can find him on X at Mr. Cole Thompson. It's Cole Thompson. Welcome into the show, buddy.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not, boys. Like, if I'm giving scorching hot takes, that either means I'm right on the money or I am dead wrong and I'm going to be on freezing cold takes tomorrow. But no, I love your show, guys. I really do. Like, when you guys reached out, I was beyond excited to come on. I'm always for independent podcasters that continuously want to see this platform grow. And you guys have been one of my favorite listens in the last month or so. So, for anybody that checks out SEC Unfiltered, make sure that you guys follow the Always Talking Ball podcast. They do great work over here. It's so awesome when small worlds collide. Tyler loves Notre Dame. My grandfather and I grew up in a Notre Dame household.
Mm-hmm.
And Lance was at the same bar that I probably was in 2015 in Tuscaloosa. So you never know how lives pass and path. Let's rephrase that. You never know how lives will cross paths. Lo and behold, that's how you get the Always Talking About SEC Unfiltered collaboration.
So when you're talking about sleepers possibly that could win this conference, it's so deep. I mean, you're talking about teams like Oklahoma. You're talking about teams like Tennessee, South Carolina, maybe even an Ole Miss this year. Is there a team that, that maybe people are overlooking that could possibly be sitting there in the thick of it at the end of the year, like a Texas A&M last year going into the Lone Star Showdown? If they win that game, they're playing for an SEC championship with a chance to bring home the chip. Is there a team that you see that could do that this year?
Am I gonna say it? Because apparently I have this infatuation, little hate with Texas A&M, and I don't. I don't. And I made this comparison not too long ago. Texas A&M is like NHL coming to Houston. I'll believe it when I see it. Like the years where they actually start to really get past that 8-4 range, I'll believe it when I see it. I want to believe it this year because I do. Because in my opinion, they're going to have the best rushing attack in the SEC. Le'Veon Moss is fully healthy. I don't think enough people realize how talented of a player Ruben Owens is. Great secondary option, especially when it comes to open field, making defenders miss. Amari Daniels is a good third down back. He's got that power bruising mentality that just lets you fight for those extra yards. So they can win on the ground. And again, Colin Klein's offense is predicated to mobility and a lot of options to the outside and a lot of opportunities to take the corner and be able to just milk the clock as much as possible, win the time of possession. They have some wide receivers that are also really, really good. I think Mario Craver is been one of the highlights of fall camp so far. Like every single route, he is just winning with pure speed. And what was funny is I talked to Will Lee at SEC Media Days, and he said the wide receiver that gave him the most trouble last year was Mario Craver. So when Texas A&M saw him in the portal, they knew immediately this is a guy we got to go after. Casey Concepcion is a top 10 wide receiver for me going into last year because of what he did at NC State. Like he was phenomenal, just a chain mover, constantly winning his one-on-one battles in the Z position and just making first down grabs for who was the quarterback that year? It wasn't Grayson McCall. It was somebody. I don't know who it was. It was somebody else. Devin Leary, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, that team, that NC State team had a really good continuity in the passing attack. And I know Mike Elko's defense is always going to be prepared. Like he said after the loss to USC in the Vegas Bowl, the best part about this season is I never have to look at that defense again. Like when a coach that is a defensive-minded coach says that about his unit, you know it's bad. And so he spent an entire offseason bettering the odds on getting in more talented pieces, spending amplitude, time of working with that defensive back room to not give up explosive plays. That pass rush to get a lot better. There's questions within, but it still is Mike Elko's defense. The thing that I worry about is two things. Number one, Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed can hit the home run ball. Like, I have watched him in practice. I saw him come in for Jalen Henderson in the Texas Bowl in person in 2023. He had 361 passing yards, and he had 4 passes of over 30 yards downfield. The LSU game when he came on in, and LSU was winning, he ended up having 2 big-time passes, and each went for 30 yards. And they were the only 2 passes he completed that game. He won with his legs. Can you hit the singles and the doubles? Like, can you hit that 7-yard slant route on a 2nd and 6 that's going to move the chains? Can you be a guy that gets an 18-yard comeback to be in your favor where you're not throwing into double coverage and you're able to put yourself in a prime position to really open up the playbook on the following play and get a new fresh set of downs? Because I just don't want to think of him as being a guy that is only going to be 40 yards down the field, Terry Bussey, Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver. That's the way we win, and we win on the ground because then your offense becomes predictable and teams know how to prepare for you better But the other thing that I worry about is that pass rush. Last season, Texas A&M had 3 guys go to the NFL draft: Nick Scorton, Shamar Stewart, Shamar Turner. They ranked actually pretty low compared to what you envisioned with that type of talent with Texas A&M in pass rush win rate and also in sack totals. Like, they were like 54th and 65th in the country in those areas, which is not what you expected when you got those players. And they didn't have a double-digit sack leader. Well, you have Cassius Howell, who's going to step on up into a bigger role, which I think is a good thing. But who is that secondary guy? Like, who are you trusting to be the running mate for him on the opposing side? And it doesn't have to be maybe an outside line. I mean, it doesn't have to be a defensive end. It doesn't have to be like a Ryland Kennedy. It could be Albert Regis in the interior. It could be Torian York. It could be Scooby Williams. It could be your nickel defender. Like, any one of these guys that can put pressure on a quarterback with the delayed blitzes and get a quarterback to move outside the pocket is beneficial. But I just don't know who that guy is. And like, I know the Texas A&M fans are so sick and tired of hearing the 8-4 jokes. Texas 8-4, Texas 8-4. People say it because it's the reality right now. And when I look at this team, I think that 8-4 is not a bad season when you look at some of the teams on the schedule. You got to go play in South Bend this year. You don't know what Florida is going to be, but Florida feels like that it's a more polished offense if they have a healthy DJ Lagway, where this game's going to come down to the wire. You lost to Auburn last year, and they were a 5-7 team. Auburn right now, maybe the most improved team in the conference. We just got to see it in person. You also have games against Arkansas in Fayetteville. The Razorbacks win one upset every single year. Like, it's bound to happen. And this is the first time that matchup isn't going to be held in Arlington since 2014. You got to go play at Texas this season. So there's so many moments where you can just slip on up if you're Texas A&M. But if everything goes according to plan, you could be going into that matchup in Austin with an opportunity for one of the Texas schools to be playing in Atlanta. Like, it wouldn't shock me. I'm not banking on it, but it wouldn't shock me.
No, I love it, man. And hey, since we're already rolling here on win totals, that's going to lead us in right into it. You had just talked a lot about Texas A&M. So it's like you had my show notes right here in front of you, Cole. Jake Crane did the same thing on this. I've got Texas A&M over 7.5, man. I mean, again, I know the joke is you can always count on Texas A&M going 8-4. Hey, 8-4 gets you to the window and get you to the green and get you paid around Thanksgiving for some walking around money for Christmas time. I've actually got A&M right now teetering with going 9-3. Last year, you mentioned like Mike Elko talked about, like his exact quote was, "I won't watch our defense play like this ever again."
Because it's a slap in the face if you're a player on that team.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
how do you not just hate yourself afterwards?
And it's because the last 4 games of the season against P4 teams last year, they gave up 35 points per game. I mean, that's why they lost all 4 of those games against P4 opponents. But if you look, I believe Mike Elko. Because if you look at his track record, he drastically improved his defenses in year 2 and year 3 at previous stops when he was the DC at Texas A&M under Jimbo, when he was the DC at Notre Dame in the past, when he was a DC at Wake Forest, and when he was the head coach at Duke. Duke was absolute just cheeks on defense year 1 when he got there and before he got there, and then he turned him into a top 30 defense like immediately in year 2. So do I think he could do that with the talent he's going to have?
To me, that Duke turnaround in 2022 was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Like,
absolutely.
Because you already mentioned it. The defense was like 115th in every single category. They ranked top 30 in almost every single category and only a few transfers. So I don't doubt the defense. Like, I don't, because of it's Mike Elko.
Yeah.
Like, the Jimbo thing always bothered me. And the reason the Jimbo thing always bothered me is because of they set him up in such a disemoriented advantage to where it was kind of like you have to do X, Y, and Z to impress us. And that's never been Texas A&M style. Like, it really has. If you know anything about the 12-man, the type of mentality that they play with and the way that they go about their pride in their culture, Jimbo was not somebody that fit the bill. But like, they sign him up, they bring out the red carpet. They give him a plaque that says Texas A&M national champions 20, insert the last 2 years here. Like, it was just so weird the way that they went about it. And then Jimbo was so contradictive of himself because he constantly was shooting himself in the foot that they had no choice to fire him. And then the Mark Stoops thing that happened, and that was, that like Greg Schiano going to Tennessee was like a bully fest. This was like, call the dogs to Texags, and we're going to make sure that this thing happens, like shuts it down immediately, because they wanted Mike Elko. And Elko, I think, was the right hire because if he's a culture hire.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the type of guy that you need. Like when RC Slocum was running the show in Texas A&M and they had the Wrecking Crew defense and they had the Maroon Goon offensive line, it was because of the type of mentality that RC Slocum was coaching with and like the way Jackie Sherrill was coaching. And I think that Mike Elko is that guy. And I don't know if they're this year going to do the inevitable of making the college football playoff, but like at some point the Texas 8-4 jokes are coming to an end. It may not be 2025, but they're going to come to an end. 7.5 again is an easy bet because of, I think, even when you look at the questions that you have with this team, the other answers that you already know are so well put together that 8-4 should be at least the standard. Like you lose to Texas, you lose to Notre Dame, you drop a game that you shouldn't win, that you should win, and you win a game that you shouldn't. Like those are all things that we can expect going into this year. So like, would it shock you guys? Just be honest. Would it shock you if Florida is undefeated? They beat Texas. They beat Miami. They're undefeated going into College Station. And Texas A&M is coming off of a loss from Notre Dame. They beat Florida. And they beat Florida outright by like 20 points. And they dominate that game. And then they lose to Arkansas and Fayetteville. Would it shock you?
Not at all, man.
Because it's Texas A&M. Like that's what they do all the time. And I'm not saying it's the Arkansas game. It may end up being Auburn is dreadful. Auburn looks awful against Baylor. They don't show up in the game against Oklahoma, and then they show up in Kyle Field. Like it may be that game, but like that's A&M. They're gonna win a game that they shouldn't. They're gonna lose a game that they shouldn't.
Yep.
And then they're gonna lose 2 other games that they probably are not the better competition. And that's what we get every single year. But like 8-4, 7.5 win total, that's easy money. Like to me, that's thank you for my first drink at the bar on Thanksgiving weekend to go ahead and kick things off.
I love it. All right, Ty, on you, brother.
Well, this was an absolute blast, man. Can't thank you enough for coming on. Let the people know where they can find you once again. Let them know what things Chris and the guys over at SEC Unfiltered have cooking this season.
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and spam me all the time on my social media, it's at Mr. Cole Thompson. You can hate my takes literally in my DMs. I have plenty of Tennessee fans to attest to that right now. We're finishing up our season previews for the SEC Unfiltered channel. Our 3 biggest game stretches is what I'm working on right now. X Factor players are coming out next week. The actual predictions are coming out later on this week. My actual explanation video just dropped recently on the top 25 teams for 2025, in my opinion, going into this year. We have our college football playoff selection show on Monday. If you want to check that out, Chris and I will be unveiling our 12 teams. And we got a bunch of other content that's going to be bleeding out the eyeballs, especially when it comes to season previews, because we do all 16 teams. We do all reactions. We do Sunday Fun Day every single week. We have 2 live streams at 8 o'clock every single Monday and Thursday, so check it out there. And as always, if you want to give me a follow, it's at Mr. Cole Thompson on social media. I'm basically there everywhere, except on TikTok, which is at Cole Thompson CFB. Because somebody, and I don't understand this, and it pisses me off, who is going by Mr. Cole Thompson? Like, honestly, who stole my mononym? Like, who did that? Because that's what I've been known as for the last 8 years on social media. And somebody decided to steal it from me on TikTok.
Well, good stuff, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. We already can't wait to have you on again sometime. Appreciate you guys listening in, man. We know it was a little bit of a longer episode, but this is the SEC, and we just, it just means more, like the moniker says. So, again, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For Cole Thompson and Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Noe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.